من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها النبي إذا طلقتم النساء فطلقوهن لعدتهن وأحصوا العدة واتقوا الله ربكم لا تخرجوهن من بيوتهن ولا يخرجن إلا أن يأتين بفاحشة مبينة وتلك حدود الله ومن يتعد حدود الله فقد ظلم نفسه لا تدري لعل الله يحدث بعد ذلك أمرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فأمسكوهن بمعروف أو فارقوهن بمعروف وأشهدوا ذوي عدل منكم وأقيموا الشهادة لله ذلكم يوعظ به من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا ويرزقه من حيث لا يحتسب ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه إن الله بالغ أمره قد جعل الله لكل شيء قدرا واللائي يئسن من المحيض من نسائكم إن ارتبتم فعدتهن 3 أشهر واللائي لم يحضن وأولاة الأحمال أجلهن أن يضعن حملهن ومن يتق الله يجعل له من أمره يسرا ذلك أمر الله أنزله إليكم ومن يتق الله يكفر عنه سيئاته ويعظم له أجرا أسكنوهن من حيث سكنتم من وجدكم ولا تضاروهن لتضيقوا عليهم وإن كن أولات حمل فأنفقوا عليهن حتى يضعن حملهن فإن أرضعن لكم فآتوهن أجورهن وأتمروا بينكم بمعروف وإن تعاسرتم فسترضع له أخرى لينفق ذو سعة من سعته ومن قدر عليه رزقه فلينفق مما آتاه الله لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها سيجعل الله بعد عسر يسرا وكأين من حاسبناها حسابا شديدا وعذبناها عذابا نكرا فذاقت وبال أمرها وكان عاقبة أمرها خسرا أعد الله لهم عذابا شديدا فاتقوا الله يا أولي الألباب الذين آمنوا قد أنزل الله إليكم ذكرا رسولا يتلو عليكم آيات الله مبينات ليخرج الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات من الظلمات إلى النور ومن يؤمن بالله ويعمل صالحا يدخله جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا قد أحسن الله له رزقا الله الذي خلق 7 سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما.
As the gender war rages on, in order to keep the peace, we must discuss the exact facts. Welcome to Exactly. I'm your host, Saad Imam. Please remove your shoes and enter upon your right foot upon the right state of mind. Bi'idhnillah. Topic: men may be or might be goofies, but never clowns. Men might be goofies, but never clowns. Now we know goofy and clown are insults that are generally hurled upon men or at men by women. They'll say he's a goofy, he's a clown. Another one is a lame, but we're not dealing with that one today. We're dealing with goofy and clown. So men, as I said, might be goofies, but never clowns. Okay? So if we are to get into this topic, we have to give a list of why I deemed that men can indeed be goofies. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, brother Asadullah. So let me give a list of things that men do that are considered goofy. That men do that are considered goofy. One is that they are drinkers. Many men are drinkers. Okay? These are mainly kuffar. Not saying Muslims don't fall into that. You know, hey, we follow them into the lizard hole, right? So men are drinkers. Men that drink, whether casually, whether they get drunk, whether they get blackout drunk, or curb drunk, as I like to say, or they just drink casually, or just have a couple of beers during a football game. This is goofy. This is goofy. You know the character Goofy from Walt Disney? Yeah. That's how you act when you drink. Okay? So if you are drinking, imbibing alcohol of any proportion, you're goofy. You're goofy. Okay? Because you are relaxing and relieving yourself of the proper aql, the proper aql, which is the thought processes that Allah gave us as human beings. You're relieving yourself of that. So yes, men indeed can be goofy. Okay? Beyond that, substance abuse. I don't care if a doctor prescribed it and your name is on the bottle. If you are taking it outside of the prescription and you're taking it when it is not needed, okay? If it is as needed, okay? Or you're taking it outside of its proper parameters, then this is goofy. Weed smokers, pill poppers, intravenous drug users, and all the different other ways people, the acid on the tongue, if I'm not mistaken, things like that. All of this is goofy. So men can indeed be goofies, okay? They can indeed be goofies if they're doing these things. So women, as a lesson for you, as an advice for you, if there's a man who is drinking, he's not fit. He's not fit. Get you a man that already has a wife that is already proven to not be a drunk, okay? Or find a man that doesn't have a wife if you have the means to do so. If he abuses substances, he's goofy, okay? You don't have to stick around for that. I don't care what Sheikh such and such said. You do not owe him rehabilitation. That's something outside of you, okay? You didn't drive him to do drugs, so why you have to be there to get him off drugs? I don't think you have the ability to do so. You cannot control a person that doesn't have taqwa, okay? Men that get tattoos, okay? Men that get tattoos, goofy. You say, but what if they were kuffar? Well, kuffar are goofy. Muslim sisters shouldn't be messing with kuffar anyway, so kuffar are goofy. They're indeed goofy, okay? They are goofy, and if a Muslim man gets a tattoo, he's not fit to be a husband. He's not fit for a viable mate. He's not fit to be a mate. So if he is piercing, earrings, okay, tongue ring, a'udhu billah, lip ring, nose ring, these dudes, okay, if he was a gold ring, subhanallah, gold necklace, bracelet, gold bracelet, even though I find all forms of jewelry on men to be feminine. My wife got me to wear I forgot what metal that is, titanium wedding band at one time. That lasted for a couple of days. I took it off. It felt unnatural. But generally, jewelry is for, it's Allah talks about women in Quran. He says this is a creature that's given to trinkets, okay? Given to trinkets. And this is generally how a thing that is associated with women. Some men like jewelry. Hey, look, do you? I'm just saying that for sisters, if you don't want to have a potential goofy man, don't deal with one that, is very fond of decorating himself, of trinkets. This is not a manly quality. Not saying haram. We know the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, stayed away from 99% of halal things so that they would not fall into the haram. Okay? They stayed away from 99% of the mubahat, the permissible things, so they would not fall into the haram. Okay? So that being said, just because something is halal doesn't mean you should overindulge in it, or indulge in it where you wearing earrings and things like that, imitating the opposite sex, wearing a tongue ring. I don't know what that's about. For men, nose rings, I don't know what that's about. That's my African tribe. Well, join the tribe of Islam. Join the tribe of Islam and don't imitate, women. Don't imitate women. and things that are associated with women. Okay, so nevertheless, beyond that, what are some other goofy things that men may do? Men that go to bars and clubs. Now, if it's a Kafir, Kafirs can do what they want. This shirt is killing me. Look at this shirt, man. This shirt is killing me. I don't know what's going on. I guess I need to pull this one. Okay. Anyway, so Kafirs go to bars and clubs. This is their daycare centers, night care centers. Muslims don't go to bars and clubs. You say, I know a Muslim that goes. Muslims don't do it. Okay. Muslims don't do it. This is somebody that's acting outside of what Muslims do. Okay, just because a person that calls himself Muslim does a thing doesn't mean the thing becomes a Muslim thing to do. So what I'm saying is that Muslims don't do it, meaning Muslims shouldn't do it. Okay, and if a Muslim does it, it didn't change the rule. So going to bars and clubs is pretty goofy. It's goofy, you know. So beyond that, what are some more goofy things men do? Okay, men they promise women the moon. They make empty promises to women. Now, Muhammad SAW said in one hadith, even if you promise a woman a dowry, a mahar, a sadaq, and you don't have any intention of giving it to her, Allah will raise you on Day of Judgment as a zani. He will raise you as a one that committed illegal sexual intercourse because you had no intention. The woman will be free from blame, but you will be blameworthy if you contracted marriage with a woman and did not have any intention of fulfilling the dowry. This is a khud'a or deception, and Islam is completely against al khud'a or deception. So when men are goofy if they promise women the moon and they don't even own any land on earth. You promise her the moon, but you don't even own land on this earth. Okay? That's goofy. That's real goofy. You say, well, why are women listening to them? Well, women are they're that type of creature. They are the creature of protection, the creature to be protected. So a lot of times when you, are the creature of protection, you tend to depend upon the protector. So at this time, alhamdulillah, I'm going to bring in Brother Black Mind, inshallah ta'ala. He's going to give some very well appreciated and needed insight. So what we're going to do is let me bring him in. I'm going to send him a link. Okay. And is that it? What did I do? Okay, let me redo the link again. I'm going to get him in, inshallah ta'ala. Let me try it again. Okay, and bam, there we go. So I just sent him the link, inshallah ta'ala. He will be joining us shortly. So it is indeed goofy to promise women a thing where Allah ta'ala made their nature, where Allah ta'ala made their nature, to be a dependent creature, a protected creature, okay? And men are being goofy by promising them things that they do not intend to, fulfill. This is goofy. This is goofy. Now, in all fairness, a man may promise you something that he intends to provide for you. Then he figures out that he can't, that it's something beyond his reach. And maybe he promised you with really, really good intentions. That's why when I ever witness a marriage, I advise, the man to give what you can. Don't promise her something that you anticipate in the future. Give her what you can. And if you intend to give her beyond that, then make it a sadaqah. You'll make it a sadaqah. Don't make it part of the sadaqah. And this is something that I just advise because there are too many marriages where the woman wants out for any particular reason, and she'll use the fact that you didn't fulfill the dowry, and she has every right to back out on you in that case. So that's goofy to promise the woman the moon, but you don't even own land on earth. Okay? So what's the next goofy move that men do? Men, they promise marriage while only wanting sex. Now, of course, our delusional dating profile of the week is going to be something about this. You'll be surprised who it is and what she's saying. I told y'all didn't listen. But watch. Okay. Nevertheless, he promises marriage but only wants sex. So he's telling her, we're going to get married. We're going to get married. But I'm still trying to get to know you. So he wants to take you out to dinner. He wants to hold your hand. He wants to, pull you close, sit in the movie next to you and lean his head on your shoulder. You can lay your head on his shoulder. And he wants to feed you popcorn, and stuff like that. Eventually kisses goodnight. There's no wali, which a wali's job is not to chaperone you on a date. That's not his job. That's another discussion. So this is what you all relax. Maybe y'all went out the first time with the wali, or y'all met with the wali, and then after that, things got real lax and relaxed. So he's promising you marriage. He's got your head in the clouds, and this is women. That's why Allah Ta'ala instituted one of the wisdoms of the wali. One of the wisdoms of the wali is that, I hate this shirt. I hate it. I hate it. One of the wisdoms of the wali is that he is the protector. You can't finesse and sweet talk the wali. You cannot finesse or sweet talk the wali. You must come intelligent. Assalamu alaikum, ya akhi. Can you hear me?
Wa alaikum salam. How do I sound to you?
Alhamdulillah. Always clear, bro. You got that good equipment, man. I'm over here with this Dollar General.
Alhamdulillah, I've got enough. I did do some things on this laptop here. I got one of those older laptops you can still upgrade, and I had to go ahead and get a new RAM chip for it so that it would be
Okay.
fast enough. And so alhamdulillah, if it works well, if the sound is clear, I'm glad.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay. So yeah, I've been going over things that men do that makes them goofy. Women always they call men goofies and they call us clowns. So I want to go over the things that make men goofy, and then I'll cover the clown aspect of it, and then we'll bring it full circle, inshallah ta'ala. And in case you didn't catch the beginning, I said men that drink, that's goofy. Men that abuse substances, that's marijuana, even abuse prescription drugs, that's goofy. I mentioned men that get tattoos, that's a goofy move, especially after Islam, that's goofy. Okay, men that hop bars and clubs, that's a goofy move. And all these things, by calling them goofies, these are men that you really should avoid, for women. They promise women the moon, but they don't even own land on earth, They promise dowries that they don't intend to fulfill. All that stuff is goofy, They promise marriage when they only want sex. So they got marriage hanging over your head, calling the woman engaged. She's engaged to me. I'm engaged to her. And Islam don't even do engagements like that. So that's really a goofy move. And the reason women fall for it is because women are the creatures of protection. They are the fairest sex. They are not as savvy when it comes to the finesse. That's why one of the wisdoms of the wali or the wakil is to remove the finesse and remove the dysphoria, right? Remove
Yeah.
it so that women can, he can think clearly for her, and she won't be so enamored by fantasy, She won't be so enamored by fantasy. So anyway, that's as far as I got so far. And you want to say something, or you want me to continue with the list?
Yeah, continue with the list.
Okay, inshallah ta'ala, I'll continue. Being tough with your wife, or being, rough or tough with your wife, but soft in these streets. See, this is another man that should be avoided. He's tough with his wife, and a man should have not tough with his wife, but his wife should see him as someone who's able to protect her. I mentioned one time I was in Home Depot, and I saw a man with his wife, and I'm gonna say wife because I don't know their life, right? I'm gonna say wife, and I looked at him. I'm from the streets. I got a street mind. Streets, not really a street way of thinking, but a street mind, and I'm street savvy. So when I looked at him, I'm like, the first thing flashed into my head is, how can he protect her? SubhanAllah. That's the first thing went through my mind. Is like, how can this guy protect her? And when I mean protection, I don't mean beat up anybody that, anybody that comes, that accosts them or her, right? I mean that give her enough time to get to the car, you know? I didn't see that dude doing that. I saw maybe she would jump in front and defend him. He looked like he was over there shopping for nails and screws. Looked like he have. I mean, this is where my mind went. So I'm just thinking about that. And some men have this real tough persona around women, but then around men, it's the same way with knowledge. There's a lot of sisters that say, "Oh, my husband is so knowledgeable," and I don't say nothing, but when he's around men, when he's around lions, this guy, he's not the brightest bulb, you know. But I don't say anything because it's not my place to say anything. I need her and desire for her to admire her husband on that level. You know what I'm saying? I need her to do that because that's their relationship. That's not mine. That's not mine. So there's no need for me to be, what they call that, dirty macking. You heard of dirty macking before?
Oh God, yeah,
Yeah, dirty macking. You ain't got nothing to say about yourself that's good. So you say everything bad about the other person to make yourself look good.
Yeah, that's responsible for about I'd say that's probably responsible for at least a third of the black population in my hometown. Dirty Mackin,
SubhanAllah. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
because
So
that's how you do it.
yeah, I got one real life example. My ex-wife, she rejected Islam, after we divorced, and she got with this big dude looked like Amistad, and I'm not exaggerating. He looked like Amistad, not just the color but the size. He's probably built like a football player, if you NFL college player, built big old black dude, and I had some trouble with him because he was trying to bully my stepson that I knew since he was 1 year old, and he calls me dad, so push came to shove. I went over there and called him into the street. He wouldn't come in the street, So I knew he was already soft. I knew he was soft, but she called me one day out of the blue. She says, "Sadiq, guess what?" And this before me and him got into it, right? She says, "Sadiq, guess what?" I said, "What?" She says, "Me and Dre," and I'll say his name. I don't care what that nigga. I'll beat it. I'll whoop him. Anyway, so he said, "Me and Dre at this store." He's going to the store, and I think him and the dude accidentally bumped each other. And the dude like, "Hey man, look out!" And he said, "There's this big old dude, Dre, that abused her and abused her stepson, her son, right? Cowered down, like, hey man, I don't want no smoke, Cowered down." She said, "You would never do that, And she would. I'm half his size, So she was like really amazed, I said, "Y'all always downgrade." I have to throw something in there, right? I said, "Y'all forever downgrade. Y'all can't deal with the toxic masculinity, which is just masculinity, right? So y'all downgrade, to this type person." So anyway, that happened, and he was real tough, with her and around her. But when he was around them lions, he became a lioness. Became a lioness. Nevertheless, continue with the list. I got about 4 more. It says, tricking off needed resources. Now, if a man has an abundance of resources and you're maintained, they say if it ain't tricking if you got it. Now, this quote is a Kafir cliche, right? It ain't tricking if you got it. But there are men that trick off resources that the family needs. They trick off resources that the family actually needs. And I don't care if these men are kuffar. I would advise them, do not do that. Do not trick off resources that are needed to maintain your family. I don't care if it's $40. Don't trick it off because your family may need it. So men are goofy when they do that. Like Muhammad Sallam said, your wife has the same thing that woman has. I know men like the strange, but at the same time, intelligently, if we claim to be so intelligently, we should go home to our wives. You should go home to your wife. Okay, last 3. Lazy. Men that are lazy, that have no ambition. They don't want to work. Okay. They think watching Jerry Springer and whatever, I don't know if the show was on in the morning. I haven't seen them in years, but uh, watching those shows thinking a job's gonna pop up. You know, Hallmark Institute, DeVry, what's the other ones that come on? Anyway, so uh, men that are lazy, this man is goofy. He's goofy because Allah gives us the example of the bird who leaves its nest in the morning and comes back with its belly full. Meaning that you have to leave your home. You have to go. What do they tell us in job search when we were younger? They said you have to treat looking for a job like a job, right? Because
Yeah.
we had to 9 to 5 looking for a job to get a job. We had to do that. So again, men that are lazy are goofies. Last two, misguided, following a dude that's playing a dude disguised as another dude. You got those people, they follow these certain sects that follow just dudes.
Yeah,
They're the
they
ones that'll
just do
tell
whatever
you
somebody
how many
tell them.
sheikhs can you name. Like, dude, I'm not even comfortable saying a bunch of dudes' names. I'm actually not comfortable with that. You know, they actually think that's knowledge. They can name a bunch of dudes they never met, never sat with, and if they sat with them, didn't understand the language. Didn't understand the language, and that's a problem. A lot of sisters are with dudes and following dudes and desiring dudes that are part of certain cliques so they can claim, Crip or Blood, or whatever else sect they follow, right?
Yeah.
So they're following a dude, playing a dude disguised as another dude. Dude, brother just posted the other day. He said, "Hey, if you don't follow the dot, then please delete yourself off my friends list. I don't need nobody misguiding me." And my statement to him was, well, if you intelligently understand what you are upon, I said, why are you concerned about a random Muslim misguiding you? That tells me you don't even understand what you're on. You know, that's like
It's
saying you understand math, right?
kind of.
I follow this, I follow math, but so people that believe in calculus, delete me off y'all friends list because I don't want nobody misguiding me. It's crazy.
Yeah, that does sound a bit ungrown for somebody to say something like that. I don't need random people misguiding me because that means that you see yourself as subject to follow random people. It also means that you have what you're saying is that you've got doubts about what you're or whom you're following or what their platform is. You're not really so sure about it. Um, it's not something that we should be comfortable saying as adults.
Yeah.
And the thing is, honestly, that even though ladies ought to be protected, um, unfortunately, growing up in the West, I've lost that ability to sympathize. And that's because I was exposed to them saying that they didn't need protection, at least not psychologically. They may have admitted to needing physical protection, but not psychologically not admitting to needing a psychological protection. And they would say that they knew what they were doing. They're adults, they're not kids. And of course, I would later on see them make decisions based on childish judgment.
Okay.
Um, Especially when it came down to men, I would see them make very mature decisions when it came to careers and everything else. And then it comes to men, and they would just throw all of it out the window. And therefore I lost the ability to sympathize. So I would see him get with the wrong guys. And to be honest with you, I still to this day don't really care when I see that, unless another guy would not know that something was wrong with this man. In those cases, I understand. But when we can see that there's something wrong with this guy, and someone chooses him and she's responsible, then honestly, I'm not capable in that case of sympathizing with her and saying, oh, she didn't know. That's when I look and say, no, I can't really care because you've got guys that are responsible and they get ill treated. They get unchosen and ill treated when they are chosen. And then um, they're told, if they're even told what it is, it's something really, really stupid. An example would be a link that I posted on Facebook to this video in which a sister tells a brother something, And then she asked, "Do I have anything in my teeth now?" And he looks and he says, "No, I don't see anything." And then she hits this button to reject him.
Yeah.
And then they ask her why, and she said, "Well, he was very soft spoken." Well, the guy didn't know her.
Yeah.
So it's he could have not been, but she didn't. He didn't know her, and she didn't know him that well. And then
Yeah.
right after that, one of the Wyatts walks in this clip, and so she says something about "I like to dance," and he interrupts her and says, "Prove it." He does a very piss poor beatbox, and she's dancing like she's on like she's one of those marionette puppets. And the man who pulling the strings is just now he's new to puppetry and just practicing. That's how she looks when she's dancing, and then she starts laughing, and he hits the button on her.
Okay.
It's similar to that. They'll just sit up and just say things out of the blue, like, they make these assumptions, and they'll say things like, "Well, I noticed that you held the door open from the inside instead of from the other side.
Mm.
You let me go through before you. A real man would go through the door and then hold it from that side and let me go in after him." Things like that, and they
Yeah.
just overly analyze. But that's when the guy doesn't have anything seriously wrong with him. And then they turn around and they don't do that when a guy's got just outright open red flags, but he's 6'5" or something like that. They just start overlooking things, and therefore, um, I realize that it's not just me, but they're training men who don't mean women any harm to just not be able to sympathize later on because of the intelligence with which they make other decisions in life and the unintelligence with which they make decisions regarding men.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It made me. It brought to mind that old adage about having to earn submission. Submission is an innate trait, in women. When woman is not submissive, then she has trauma, or she's on that that kalam farak, that nonsense. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brother Jawad. So, uh, yeah, so they go to the job and submit to everything that the you know that the boss says, whether they like it or not. But when they come home, they feel like they have what's called yad, hand. They feel like they have hand at home, so they don't necessarily have to obey their husband. That obedience is, or that submission is compromisable. You can compromise that one, but you can't compromise on the job because you'll lose money. Now, fearing the loss of money is crazy because your husband's paying the bills. So don't you fear loss of home? The same way I posted before, I got it from someone else. It's beautiful. They say that the woman, you know, her husband wanted her to go in 20/80. She do 20, he does 80% of the bills. She said, no, I refuse. I know my worth. So she eventually divorced him. Now she's working two jobs, paying 100% of her bills, and has no man, no protector. And this is the issue. You know, uh, submission should be innate, just like feminism. I don't think submission should be, because, like for instance, as Muslims, we have to submit to the ruler, long as he obeys Allah and His Messenger. We have to submit to him, whether we like his command or dislike his command. It's about the source of that command, is what we should be concerned with. The source of the command, like for instance, certain regimes we have today are from the West. The West commands them, not Allah and His Messenger. You can see, if you read Quran and Sunnah, you can see who commands them. But people are pushing for submission to them. But when it comes to having a ruler over us that rules by Quran and Sunnah, Muslims don't want no parts of that. So the Muslim men today are acting like the modern women regarding leadership, just as the women are acting like modern women regarding husbandry, and it's just something that I find very, very strange. The last one I have is hanging with them boys while shirking the needed protection. Now, I've never been a type to go out and hang out with the fellas, and especially away from my family. I've been working on the masjid 2-3 in the morning, trying to remodel the masjid, stuff like that. I've done stuff like that, which kept me away from my family, but it wasn't. I don't hang out. Most likely Maghrib I'm home. you know, or whatever. So, or praying Maghrib at the masjid and going home or something like that. So, nevertheless, there are a lot of men, a lot of dudes, and this goes back to the ones that are following a dude, playing a dude disguised as another dude. Those type of manhajs and sects and things like that. They hang out with the brothers, claiming that they're learning knowledge. The whole time their kids and wife is at home by themselves. You know, a lot of times it's what happens. They claim that they're learning knowledge, but actually they just away from the home. And I would question if it's actually knowledge that they are learning. Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Muhammad Abdul Bar. Abdul Bar. Okay. Uh, and that's all that I have on the goofy side. Those things I deem would uh, make women rightly call men goofy. Of course, we know we're called goofy for other things. Some women call us goofy for holding doors. Some women call us goofy for pulling off the side of the road to help another woman in distress that may have kids in the car or something like that. You goofy. You don't even know her. Why are you trying to help her? Chivalry is goofy to a lot of people. We understand that. So I'm talking about the things that I deem that make men goofies, and whether women agree with them or not. This is from my perspective. I think a man that does these things is indeed goofy. Okay. Now, if you got anything to add, or shall I go on to the clown?
Well, one thing I did want to mention is that to really know what counts as goofy, uh, in the general sense, of course, we know instinctively. To get more specific, I would have to listen to someone like you with some knowledge on this. Tell us when a guy's being goofy and when he's not. Largely because the only thing I know is that when women say that a man's being goofy, chances are he's not. That's the only thing Well, I'm talking about Western women.
Yeah.
That's really as much as I know at this point. Outside of when you start getting down to the specifics, then that's about as much as I know. Whereas, of course, in general, certain things no men are supposed to do in society, and we would already know that guys doing that are in fact goofy, such as you said, following men that pretend to be other men. Uh, yeah, when guys are just not when they're just not anywhere near their families a lot of times, um, and they say that they're students, but they don't really have teachers, and they're hanging out in a general area in which there are no classes being given at all, as far as you know.
Yeah.
Um, then of course we would know, okay, that's someone that's goofy because he's never with the family, but he's always seeking illness. He'll tell anybody, and of course we would know. But when it comes down to the specifics, then honestly, I said what I said about being incapable of sympathy, largely because I think that this may be happening to many men and amongst the Muslims living in the West, especially as African Americans, Muslims. I'm beginning to think this may be happening to more and more of us because, of course, as we know, the sisters that are sisters um, are, meaning African American Muslims, are generally taking the worst of people's cultures from Muslim lands, and then the worst of Western culture that's not Muslim at all,
Mm.
not even in anyone's imagination, and then they're putting the worst of them together, the best of neither, and of course they're assessing men the same way. And much like the disbelieving African American women, they're the ones largely in control of the custody and the education of the children, even though black fathers tend to be very heavily involved when they are and when they're not with the mothers. The fact is that the custody and many of the life's decisions regarding the education of the children is still in the hands of mom. And these ladies, even after they become Muslim, are taking in these church ideas with them. I shouldn't even say church; they're taking in church pew ideas with them, just ideas that the women have on the usher board, not that they're getting out of the text even, and they're imparting this to the kids. And so, yeah, because of that, a lot of us men have been wrongly trained as to how to even assess which man is a goofball and which one is not,
Yeah.
and even we're going to extend that to who's a clown and who's not. So um, I think that a lot of brothers actually may need to pay more attention because if we're honest about it, we've probably been trained to not know how to know when a man is goofy and when he's not.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Khadija. And I have a goofy confession, okay? My wife might be listening right now, and I'll get in trouble. But I actually, uh, I deal, like, of course, I coach, kids and things like that, right? That's one of my passions, coaching them in sports and things like that. So, that's a wasila, or means to mentor. It's not the end all be all. It's a way to mentor, children. Children are going through a lot with these bum parents, and to be a relief for them, is a joy of mine, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you one instance where I'm a goofy. My wife, hope she don't get mad at me. Uh, One of the parents that have kids on the sports team, uh, is 30. She like 30 weeks, maybe, or close to 30 weeks pregnant, right? And she's almost at the end of it. I know she's past 25, and she has a registry with Walmart, right? You know how they put the different items they need for the baby. So I said, hey, send me the link to the registry so I could, and this is also politicking, right? This is politicking. So she sent me the link to the registry, and one of the things she had on there was a backpack, cost $29.99. It was a backpack to put all the baby stuff in, right? So I said, okay, well, that's my target. That's what I'm gonna get, right? It's not too expensive, not too low, right? So anyway,
Okay.
I got that. I got that. Now that's goofy. You say, nah, brother, astaghfirullah, that's a sadaqah, that's Islam, Allah blesses you. Yeah. We're not talking about blessings. We're talking about how modern women view us, right? So they may
Mm-hmm.
view us as goofy for doing that. Or I have some ulterior motive, you know what I'm saying, behind that. And the law is witness, I do not. But it's a goofy thing to do. Recently, I think more than one occasion, man pull over on the side of the road to help a woman in distress. I know brothers like yourself and other brothers, they're over it. Look, hey, she want to be masculine, let her change her own tires. You know what I'm saying? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what happened when the guy pulled over? He got killed. They killed him, bro.
Yeah.
Her
She tried to
boyfriend came off
rob
the
him
side of the
and
road,
his
killed him.
fiance.
And this is what's going on. So he laying in the back seat, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going on. We can't even be chivalrous anymore. Dude walks up, grabs the door for a woman, holds the door. For doing that, he was punished. How was he punished? He had to listen to a 5-minute tongue lashing of how she's more than capable of pulling the door for herself. And if they say, like I said, the chivalry is dead, they killed it. They killed it. So not all of them, but why would I even risk holding the door for a person? Why would I even risk it? You know what I started
You
doing?
wouldn't.
I hold door for men. It's just a common courtesy. They hold door for me, I hold door for them. We have a common courtesy, you know. And I've known women to walk in and just let the door slam right in front of me. They don't care, you know. And of course they go through things, but the whole point that I'm talking about is that it's hard out here for us, bro. They think we got it easy. It's hard out here for us because we don't know when to be nice or to be mean. We don't know when to be chivalrous or to be standoffish. We don't know, because if we knew, then we'll be in safer spaces. But right now we're getting jacked, we're getting killed, we're getting cursed out for acting generally as men. We're getting me too'd for generally just being gentlemen. How you doing today? Excuse me, I'm married. Like, okay, I mean, we made eye contact. I said hi. I mean, these are just common human courtesies. And you can't even
And this is
have those anymore because that can get you in a lot of trouble. So it's a wild world we living with out here, and they don't see it our way. So it's very hard to explain this to them. Very hard to explain to them. So uh,
we
I've
don't
been
know
I've
when
been
to be
beat down
nice.
enough to not care. But I'm still taking punches, man. It's crazy. So anyway, let me deal with these comments real quick. Okay, let me see. Knitting my way to Polly says the way to a woman's heart is knitting. Okay, well, you don't know even if she is a woman. Yeah, well, that's true, but I think this was a woman. She was just of the feminist type. It says, I stand firm that our women today need to learn to be more ladylike. Indeed, alhamdulillah. No disagreement here. Ladylike melts us. Ladylike melts our hearts. Your strength is in your femininity. It's not in the rah, 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 because that ignites and stimulates the wrong instinct in a man. Men, we are very violent creatures if we need be. And when you don't want to plug into that instinct, you want to plug into the nice soft one. If a woman wants a man to if a queen wants a king to start a war, she don't go to him and say, start a war. Hey, lock her up until she learns some respect, But she goes to him and says, baby, the kingdom over there needs to be killed. And she's real soft-witted and nice, and perhaps he'll go kill the whole kingdom. That's her strength. It's not in, all this other rah-rah stuff. We got enough men in the world. We don't need women. We don't need what Bill Cosby said back when he was raping people. He said, woo man. That's where they get women from. Woo man. But I call it woo men. So it says, Sister Khadija says, scary world, stay nice and handle each situation differently. Yeah, I'm really trying to stay this nice guy. I told you I'm a recovering simp. I still got some traits. See, a woman was raped on a transit in the United States, and no one helped them. Men stood up to the guy, and no men stood up to the guy. Yeah, I can agree with that. I can see that happening these days. I can see it happening. I would say 50% cowardice and 50% none of my business. I got hit by a car in 2018, January 21st, 2018. I got hit by a car. I was a pedestrian standing outside of a place we were anticipating making into a masjid, which actually became a masjid eventually. And two cars hit each other, and the second car hit me. Okay, shattered my lower right leg. So I had to tell my son. I said, "Hey, call 911." You know why? Because everybody was shooting video and going live. Nobody was actually on the phone calling the police or calling the EMS. And that's, I can agree. People will turn into spectators, 50% cowardice and 50% apathy. They just don't care. And that's not our fault, because a man's nature is to defend a woman. What's happening when men are not defending women? And don't tell me that train was full of LG HD TV 4K. Don't tell me that. I think they were actual men for the majority, vast majority, and they chose not to get involved. So natures are under attack. Sister, is that Letitia? Okay, she says, we were created to be the comfort for the man. Indeed. Nice, but not beta. Women like beta men. Beta men have a lot of expendable resources. Knitting my way to polygyny says men know instinctively what is feminine. Yeah, we know it. You'll spot it right off. This woman is barking. She doesn't like my stance on things. So she's kafira. She's barking at me. Oh, you're wrong about this. You're wrong about that. She's barking at me because of these type views. And I'm telling her this, and that, and blah, blah, about masculine women, all this kind of stuff. And I say, but you know what's funny? I say, you're barking your opinion at me. You have very strong opinions. I say, I don't sense a hint of masculinity with you. So this woman barked her opinions, strong opinions, but I didn't sense any masculinity with her at all. And I say, this is strange, And I didn't sense any masculinity with her. And because she's in a feminine frame and she doesn't practice masculinity, you know. Have you ever come across someone like that, brother Black Mind?
I have come across some ladies that are they're able to tell an opinion without acting like a guy while doing it. I've
Okay.
seen that happen before. Um, but the funny thing is that I usually saw this in ladies who either whose parents didn't come from the states or who they themselves did not come from the states. Um, they were easier to listen to as well because they were just less corrective in their tone. They usually didn't state the opinion in a tone reminiscent of talking down to the man. To be honest with you, sometimes I've seen that with Caucasian women who were multi generational American, but after a while, I quit dealing with them outside of ever having to for other reasons, of course, because they would go back and forth with it. But I mean, I did have a Brazilian teacher once tell me something about her opinions on my pro-blackness and my pan-Africanism at the time. This was back in the '90s when I was a university student, and she calmly said to me, "Listen, Black, I'll tell you what it is that people from Africa actually say, and they say that they have more in common with me than they do with you, because we're both foreigners that came to this country." And you're from the country. And I told her, yeah, well, the part of the country from which I am is very different from the rest of the nation. Um, and additionally, it really depends on which ones you're talking to,
Yeah.
which people from Africa you're talking to. There are some that would tell you that. There are others that would tell us something different. It really depends on how conscious they are. A
Okay.
Ghanaian and a Liberian are not going to tell you that. They're going to tell me that we've got more in common because we have more cultural carryovers from back home, especially in the Gulf Coast where I come from. We don't know that that's where we get them from, but that's where we got them from. Whereas if you talk to somebody from Lagos, they probably would say that because um, they can be pretty divisive anyway. They'll say anything to hurt us. But then if there's nobody else in the room except you and them, they'll start making jokes about things you all do in Brazil that they don't do in Lagos. Not Nigeria, but Lagos, because it's how they are. And so, yeah, it would depend on who you're talking to. Um, and so, but the way she said it was not very argumentative, and it wasn't like talking down to me. Now, 4 years ago, last time I had an argument with one of us, and this is an African American and Muslima. It was here in Saudi, and we had to teach um, during the summer. 2018, I finished my summer vacation in the States. I came back here, and there was a summer course to teach, so I taught it. And the prince of the province was sponsoring it, and so in the Chamber of Commerce building. Um, we would go in and teach, and the women taught their classes, and then they left, and the men taught our classes. Same location, but at different times. So the male and lady professors knew each other, so we were all in one WhatsApp group, so that we could still teach the same curriculum and coordinate them, so that we were giving equal education to men and women. That was fine. I was with that. Yeah, we're going to give them equal education, but um, the oldest of the lady teachers, a sister, who also was a colleague of my wife, asked us men, well, what do you guys do when it comes to the students that are just unmotivated and they don't want to learn? And see, on the women's side, those unmotivated students are in the minority, and they have been for several years. Much like in Black America, Saudi women take education more seriously than Saudi men do. So they're actually beginning to exceed and excel. They exceed the earning potential of the men on average, and they're beginning to excel past them. I don't know how that's going to play out in merit stats later, but we're already
No,
seeing the
it's going to
beginnings
do
of
the
it.
same thing it did in the West. This is actually the design of the West to anytime they want to take down a Muslim nation or traditional nation, they empower the women. And I don't know if it was
And
Plato or one of those philosophers that said that to make women equal to men is to make them superior. Because remember,
mm,
men and women are balanced. There's a balance there, right? Natural woman,
Yeah.
natural man is a balance. So to make women equal to men is to make them superior. It's a natural occurrence. So they did the
Hmm.
same thing in Indonesia, where Manny Pacquiao is from. The
Oh, well,
Philippines.
he's from the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah. Philippines. They actually empowered the women. The women are the only ones that can actually get jobs. The men can't. So the men stay at home with the children, and the women go out and work. So when
Yeah, they've
those collegiate masters don't pay the women sometime, then the
mhm.
whole family suffers because they rely on the women to actually be the breadwinners because the economy is trash. But that's a Western
Yeah,
thing they did to them.
yeah, and the Dave Chappelle even talked about that, and so that's why it is that when African American women talk about, we're the only ones who, when you fill in the blank after that, I immediately jump on them and I discount them too, because when you, no matter how pro black you are, if you get to live abroad and you actually get to talk to people of different backgrounds, you find out how varied people are.
Yeah,
So you realize also how similar people are, and living abroad, I've learned a few things. One of them is that we're not the only ones that go through what we go through.
yeah,
We're the only ones who go through this, through the exact same combination, but we're not the only ones that go through each individual thing that we've experienced. The other thing I've learned is that everybody don't hate us. Like we like to say, everybody hates the whole world hates black people, and
yeah,
this is one thing that a lot of sisters love to say, especially. Well, the truth is, no, they don't. One of the other things about the Philippines is they don't hate us. Indonesia does not hate us. The Malaysians don't hate us. Cambodians don't hate us. Some people there actually prefer us over the European.
yeah,
This is a known phenomenon. You have women who might bleach their skin, but as far as who they'd rather be around and even who they would rather be, if they had to go to the West and they had to be classified as only white or black, they choose black. There are people like that in Southeast Asia, as one example. And so all of this stuff about how unique we are is not completely untrue, but it's highly exaggerated. A lot of us just don't know. So when you live abroad and you start telling this to black folks, some of them can't even believe it.
yeah,
But to get back to the story, this head lady teacher on that side um, uh, was asking this question that was kind of loaded, and I don't think she knew it, but what we told her as men was, we have to ignore the ones that don't want to learn because they won't budge. We can't reach them. There is no way to reach them until they see the students that want to learn excelling past them. So we focus on the ones that want to learn, and then we reward them. Now, the other guys began to say this, but uh, I knew where they were going. So we would each type in a little bit of what I just said to you as an answer. Before I got to the part about how we reward the students that want to learn in front of everybody so that everyone gets the reward, she had somehow written a lot back in reply. No, we don't do that. We're not just going to throw students away like that. And from the just from the writing, you could tell her tone of voice.
yeah,
You could read the finger snapping and the head, the neck rolling and the head movements. You could read all of this the way she wrote it. I mean, if I didn't know she was African American before, I would have known just from the writing. And so, in all honesty, I said, "This is some stereotype stuff. We're done talking. Thank you so much." And so she even tried to say, "Well, what do you mean we're done talking?" And I said to her, "Ma'am, this is not a conversation that we should have. Firstly, um, I'm a man, and I just said to you, we're done talking. If you, as a woman, told me as a man, we're done talking, and I asked you, what do you mean? You'd have already reported me for harassment at this point. I'm not doing this to you. I'm simply saying we're done because I'm not going to argue with you. We are not the same. Men and women are not the same. And uh, me trying to pull this black mother routine. And I said this in the WhatsApp group in front of Sudanese Americans, Sudanese Britishers, Pakistani Americans, African Americans, white Americans, and Saudi citizens. I said this in a WhatsApp group in front of all of us. And the word black is in my username in WhatsApp. So when I said this, everybody else understood exactly what was going on. This was part of the typical argument between black American men and women because she started it. And I was saying, we're not going to do this and we're not talking anymore. I gave you the answer. On the men's side, we cannot try to save these guys that don't want to learn. So you can try the black mother routine on the women's side
yeah.
and it'll work. because they're already the minority. We try that black daddy routine on the men's side, and what happens is all of them gang up on you because the ones that don't care outnumber the ones who do. Now, the funny thing was, this was 2018. This was beginning to change, and eventually it did. It's changed for the better. But at that particular time, it was the beginning of that change. And so, really, it was probably about 50-50. But we could have lost a lot of students that were on the fence about what attitude they were going to have if I had tried to take her attitude and just badger and pester the ones that don't want to learn. I would have lost the ones that do. And any male teacher would. And I'm simply saying this to say that while we have seen that there are women who can, in fact, give opinions without barking and growling, when a sister grows up in the West, in the first world, and they learn to be that what they call assertive, but actually aggressive, they can't turn that off. This lady's been living in Saudi for a long time. She can't turn that off, no matter how long she's been here. It actually makes her a great teacher. And that's why they love African American lady teachers here. I mean, they love African American teachers in general. But the thing is that people here, the men here, already don't find black women attractive. If you take away the Western attitude, and she's from the continent, they still don't find that attractive. They wouldn't admit it if they did. So that's one thing. But by the same token, you add the Western attitude to it, and the Black American woman has the least chance of marrying somebody here, anyone here, even Black American men.
So, sister knitting. Well, I said sister, but knitting my way to polygyny. That's a man. That's a sarcastic title. I don't know who that is. Maybe he's going after Mufti Mink. We need to teach our kids how to knit. I don't know if it's a woman or a man, but I think it's a brother. Allahu Alam. Anyway, you say you telling me she didn't use any crazy hand gestures and finger snaps? Well, it was over the phone. I got the call to get yelled at. But I don't find hand gestures and finger snaps necessarily masculine. When you put the hand in a man's face, that is really masculine because you have to be able to take a punch if you're going to insult a man or bring out or trigger that wrong instinct in a man. Again, like I say, we are lions and uh, we are very violent creatures if we need be. Okay, if we need be. Uh, so women should not be challenging men physically. You know, the balance is femininity, not masculinity. Uh, also says knitting also says older women hate young men. Why? Well, because it's against their nature to have a man that would be generally dependent upon them. It's against their nature. They'll never respect him, but they will find use in him. You know, no respect, but they will find use. Uh, they may get an education, but suffer later in life with no kids and family. That is a very real and prevalent phenomena right now. Please don't make me move my own furniture. SubhanAllah. No, sister, I'll continue to help you, inshallah ta'ala. Uh, she's actually telling the real life story. I actually did help her move furniture several occasions, SubhanAllah. Uh, Knitting says Western women have the highest education and also are the most on the most antidepressants. Uh, they have the no, they have the they're highest enrolled, not necessarily highest educated, because some way along the way they incurred like 80% of the college debt, the university debt, the school loans, and they have no way of paying that. If they do pay it, it's they're not going to have much money left over. So subhanallah. So again, says women don't have introspection. Let me see. Okay, I'm the alpha male. Okay, alhamdulillah. I kind of felt like your name was sarcastic, subhanallah. So anyway, we'll continue. Let's go to the clown part real quick. Let's go to the clown part. Now, I said men are never clowns, but there is opportunity for men to be clowns. We're gonna get to the bottom of who's the actual clown. Okay, but there is opportunity, ample opportunity. I don't know if I should say ample, but the opportunity is out there for men to become clowns. These things I'm about to mention are not multi-billion-dollar industries. Not for men. Not for men. A man aesthetically is what he is. Okay? A man is what he is. He can do some enhancements, but at the end of the day, when you see these, you pause and say, what did you do? What did you do? You never respond like, do I know you? When a man does certain things, you don't say, do I know you? You ask him, what did you do? Something's different about you. But you recognize the person you're talking to. Allah is my witness. My ex-wife, who I was together with for years and years, okay? I saw a picture of her on Facebook and didn't know who she was. And it's not because I'm old, okay? This was 4 or 5 years ago. I saw a picture of her on Facebook and I didn't know who she was. I looked at the picture and said, she looks familiar. Allah is my witness. I said, she looks familiar. And I turned away from it and I went back. I looked again. I said, oh, that's my ex-wife. See, I'm going to bring up something real quick. And this is a definition, okay? This is a definition. I want to bring it up. Okay, that's not what I want to bring up. Let me bring this thing up. Okay. Nope. Let me see. I'm trying to bring. Oh, you know what? This is how I bring it up. Watch this. This is easy. It's the easy way. Clown. Okay, this is a definition. Clown. Clown is a person who wears a unique makeup face. Okay, or made-up face, makeup face, and flamboyant costume, performing comedy and arts in a state of open-mindedness, all while using physical comedy, so on and so forth. So that's an extended definition, but from the first couple of lines tells you what a clown is, okay? A clown is a person who wears a unique makeup face and flamboyant costume, okay? With that, we'll go away from that and we'll talk about how men have the opportunity to be clowns. Because remember the title, men might be goofies. Not all men, but some men might be goofies, but never clowns. Never clowns. Okay, again, man can aesthetically make some changes. But aesthetically, he is what he is. And if you see him altered in some way, you may pause and say, what did you do? But you never say, who are you? You'll never say, who are you? Now, what are some clown opportunities for men? So opportunities that are, we say, clownish, okay? Men, we have a beard and hair dye. That's not necessarily clownish, but men will use it to make themselves appear younger. I've contemplated using it. I've contemplated, taking out some of the gray, using it, whatever. I've contemplated. I haven't done it, but I've contemplated it. So that's an opportunity for men. If you saw a man who dyed his beard, whether he dyed it with henna or anything, do you say, who are you? No, you say, what did you do? Or you say, you understand that is the person that you're talking to. There's no deception, when it comes to that. Because you understand this man changed something, okay? Hair plugs. He gets those seeds put in his head, like LeBron James possibly is doing, things like that. You say, hey, you're growing your hair back, but you always know who that person is. There's no deception. Have you ever seen a clown and you knew how he looked under that he or she looked under that costume?
Never knew.
You don't know. They're too heavily deceptive, too heavily deceptive. They have the fusion hair sprinkles. It's like a salt shaker. Like it's made out of real hair follicles. Real pieces of hair, not follicles, but real pieces of hair. And they shake it on your head like a salt shaker, and it fills in, they have different types of grain of hair, grades of hair, different types of colors. They shake it on your head like a salt shaker. And they say it magnetically clings to your head. I'm sure that's something you put down before, but nevertheless, that's the fusion hair sprinkles, I call it. I don't know what the name is. I know the name is called fusion, but hair sprinkles, that's what I call it based on the YouTube video I watched of someone getting it done. I do some research when I do this, right? Okay. Hair pieces like toupees or the hair thing, that they glue on their head. What they call? It's not edges. What do they call that? When the women get the glue on, what do they call that?
I'm trying to think of. No, I can't remember what they call it when it's a glue on.
It's like they glue the hair. It's like front lace front. There we go, lace front. Women do the lace. They got those lace front things for men. Lace front things for men. So men have the opportunity to be clownish. What sister said, weave. Yes, it's a type of weave. But men have the opportunity to be clownish, to be clowns. But if a man gets a toupee, you say, what did you do? But you never ask, who are you? Okay? So then we got eye contacts. Put different color eye contacts in. So you see a guy, you know who he is. He got eye contact. You're like, man, what did you do? Did you become LGHDTV 4K? What did you do? But you never say, who are you? Okay? You never say that. So because of that fact, it's those things I mentioned, the beard dye, the hair plugs, the fusion hair sprinkles, the lace fronts, the hair pieces, toupees, and eye contacts that men could apply to themselves to quote unquote enhance themselves. It's not a multi-billion-dollar industry like on the woman's side. The acrylic nails, the eyes, the lashes, eyebrows, the braiding, whatever, tattoo eyebrows. They have laser hair removal of the lip and wherever else they don't want hair to grow, underarms, all these different things. Okay, they have the makeup industry, multi-billion-dollar industry, the hair, fake hair, weaves, fake dreads, whatever, right? Wigs, all this stuff is multi-billion-dollar industry. Not so for men, because in a man's nature, he's not trying to. A man is who he is. He wakes up, he puts water on his face, he gets dressed, he's ready to go. You know what I'm saying? He'll comb his hair. Some dudes going to the metro stuff with the mousse and all this different type of stuff. Men are very low maintenance. If a man and a woman raced each other out the door, the man will win every time. So we're very low maintenance. There's no multi-billion-dollar industry when it comes to enhancements for men, except this is one of the reasons they're pushing LGHDTV 4K. Because that same makeup that women wear can make a man look better than a woman. I'm not talking about the knees and the calves and the big size 13 or 27 feet that dudes have that be in dresses, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just face, okay? Just face. They could, make themselves look like a woman better than a lot of women. They can do that. The dead giveaway is the penis. That's the dead giveaway. Like, whoa, hold on. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, with that being said, men may be goofies on a lot of levels. And I gave a list of 10, 12, 14 things that make men qualify to be goofies. Not all men, but some men. But we're never clowns. We're never clowns. The clowns are the ones that put on the makeup and the elaborate. What term did they use? Elaborate. What term did they use? The flamboyant costume. That is the clown. So I think women should stop calling men clowns. Call us goofy if we fall into this category of more things that you can add, but don't call us clowns because we don't wear makeup and we're not trying to deceive anybody. We don't put it on and look different. Okay? Now, I know a guy, he's an ex-Marine, and when you say ex-Marine, you're talking about machismo, masculine, whatever. He's ex-Marine, whatever. That doesn't impress me, but he's that, and I saw him put a filter on his face on Facebook. He's a fellow coach. You know, he put a filter on his face and had butterflies of birds and flowers and stuff around his head, and he looked like LGHD TV 4K. You know, that's what he looked like. And I'm like, why would this grown man who served in the military and murdered innocent people, you know, why would he, after graping people overseas all that time on behalf of corporations, put a filter on his face to make himself look like LGHTV 4K? That was crazy. That was crazy. Go ahead, Doc.
All right, so I'm gonna. I have to go keep my promise. I'm gonna wake somebody up,
Okay.
and it's just gonna take me about 20 seconds, inshallah. But I'll still be able to hear you.
All right, no problem, inshallah. No problem.
All right.
All right. Yeah, so uh I don't think men qualify as clowns. I think that a lot of women that heavily make themselves up and disguise themselves, you know, qualify as the clowns. So if we're gonna call spades spades, let's call men goofy, that have certain characteristics. Let's call them goofy, but let's not call them clowns. Now, for those of you that join late, the men that are goofy are the ones that drink alcohol. They have substance abuse, whether it's marijuana or prescription drugs. They don't use it properly, or any drug. Men that get tattoos after professing Islam. Okay. Men that bar hop. They go to bars and clubs. That's goofy. Men that promise women the moon, but they don't even own land on this earth. You know, it means they're practicing deception. Uh, Promising marriage while only wanting sex. You know, that's goofy. Also, I mentioned promising a dowry to fulfill later on that you have no intentions of giving. You know, or fulfilling fully. Uh, Being tough with your wife or being all masculine around your wife, but soft in the streets. You know, around other men. Tricking off needed resources. You know your family needs these resources, this money, but you give it off to someone else in order to gain favor with them. A man that's lazy, don't want to work, he's goofy. A misguided man who follows men. He doesn't have a leg to stand upon on his own. He follows men that follow men that follow men. And he doesn't have any understanding of Islam himself, so therefore he can't educate you. Okay? Uh, and men that hang with their boys and take away needed time from the family, even if they claim that they're getting knowledge. They're hanging with the boys because they all have the same title or they belong to the same madhab or the same sect or whatever. Uh, and he's not there to protect you and the kids. That's goofy. That's goofy. Hanging with men, taking away needed protection time from your family. Okay, that's goofy. But men are, although in this day and time they have opportunity to be clowns, they are not yet qualified to be clowns. I think that when women call men clowns and goofies, I think that's not befitting, except for the clown part, except for the goofy part, excuse me. But the clown part is not correct. It's not correct and it's not fitting. What do you think about that, Art?
Um, in all honesty, as far as clowns go, it's rare. I mean, seeing a guy actually go as far as to, I hear people call clowns a lot, but seeing guys go as far as what anybody's really called a clown is pretty rare. I don't come across it. But in terms of these things being goofy, I've actually seen in recent years, I've seen and heard of fewer men doing this, even amongst friends of mine, than I did before I left the States. Um, I've heard from abroad that uh, guys doing these things is going down, and that's something I wanted to ask about. Is that really the case? Uh, has it gone down since, let's say, about 2019? Um, have you seen a drop in these sorts of things over the last 3 years?
What you talking about, the aesthetics? The
Not so much the
enhancements
aesthetics.
or the goofy
No,
behavior.
not the goofy behavior. I mean,
Uh, I wouldn't know if it went down or not. I would have to check statistics and things like that, about the frequent occurrences of it, and it's all about people making money off of it, because if the money goes down, you can see the activity is going down, you know, things
hmm
like that. But in my circle, the people I know, I don't know a lot of lazy brothers. I don't know a lot of brothers that are, this and that and hang out and abandon their families, and they're pretty much family oriented men. So I don't know about that. I know in certain areas of the United States, yeah, that stuff is heavy. It's heavy. They all well, brother brother Daniel Hakikaju, he said he called it cosplay. I think I got it from him, cosplay. Uh, he said that these men, they like to hang around each other and do cosplay. So they like to dress the part of Arabs, really, which kind of translate as intelligent or Islamic, right? And
hmm
they hang around doing cosplay with each other. I thought that cosplay, it just tickled me so much when I first heard it. You know, they like to sit around and play cosplay, and that's what you have. Um, so hanging out, abandoning their family, hanging out. Well, remember, COVID changed a lot of things. COVID changed a lot of behaviors because part of the reason, if you listen to the people that speak about this, they have a thing where they want everybody to go meta. Remember, remember during COVID they announced meta. Remember that?
yes.
Okay, so meta is a way of wearing the Oculus, the vision things, sitting in your house, having your meetings at the same table. Okay, having relations. One woman say she was sexually harassed on Metaverse. She actually tried to sue. So they want people in their homes. DoorDash, Uber Eats, all this stuff blew up. The online whatever. Uh, Bezos became millionaire, multi-billionaire, right?
hmm
All this during COVID. People became super rich during COVID, okay? Shipping, handling, all this type of stuff. So Meta was introduced during COVID. They want everybody in their homes. So I think a lot of people got used to being in their homes. They got used to it. They got used to it. The Masajid, even when they opened back up, they were still doing 6 feet like idiots. And they were doing that idiotic 6 feet from where you are to all around the world doing that 6 feet. And a lot of respected sheikhs say, I refuse to lead salat with people standing 6 feet apart. This is not the sunnah of Rasul Muhammad. The sunnah is actually to stay in your home if you fear like that, right? The sunnah was not
hmm
to change the very salat. And I don't care what opinion somebody follows from their sheikh. I'm not obligated. I'm obligated to follow what I find, as Muhammad said, pray as you saw me pray. Okay? Nevertheless, with that being said, they want everybody inside. They want everybody inside. And they want to metaverse the whole thing. Do you know they're selling land in the metaverse? You know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I did not know that.
They're selling land. You could buy office spaces and things like that. So it's you the office. You sit at the head of the table with the Oculus on, right? And everybody sitting around the table. You're having a meeting. That's your office. That's your building. You can buy land and property in the metaverse. Guess what else? They want to remove the Oculus and I think was it Elon Musk? One of them want to implant the chip. I think Elon Musk. He wants to implant the chip, so you don't need the Oculus anymore. Yeah. So if
Okay.
these instances of men going to bars, hanging out, if they went down, it's because of the COVID experiment that they did. That I think that was literally an experiment. They say how many million? 2 million people died. I only think it was three. I think it was like 2 million. It's 300 million people in this country alone. There's 8 billion in the world. Those are low numbers, bro. Those are low numbers. It seemed like a lot because it's million, right? A couple of million, but those are actually low numbers when it comes to death. The flu is there, you know. The flu is up there again.
Yeah,
So anyway, this is the thing I'm saying. The meta is what they're trying to do, and we don't even see it coming because we are, So if these instances went down, it's probably because of that. You know, people still walking around with masks on even to this day.
I don't know.
And you know what? I'm sorry to cut you off real quick, bruh. I actually got sad. I thought of all the young, so-called minorities that were beat down for failure to identify, that were manhandled and slammed on their head because they refused to remove a hoodie. Then when the COVID came, people were wearing masks walking in the banks, bro. And for some reason, the police felt no need to slam them on their head. How many failure to identify resulted in a death? Lots. Failure to identify. Then people just wholesale adopted the mask almost. And every time I saw people with masks on, I'd be like, man, y'all see, look, everybody know me like I wasn't trying to wear no mask. I bucked the system. I'd be the only one inside of a hospital without a mask on. I bucked the system. I just don't feel it necessary. These medical professionals walking around looking like walking dead zombies. Anyway, go ahead, bro. I apologize.
Well, I understand why people took it seriously. Um, I get that. When it comes down to the flu, it takes out more people. However, it's been around so long, folks don't necessarily
Mm,
know. Also, generally speaking, people have an idea. Sorry for yawning, as to how to stop the spread of the flu.
mm,
Um, when it came to COVID, the issue with it is that there were people who believed that it was some super virus out of China, and that what it was actually going to do was have us digesting ourselves from the inside. It was going to liquefy
mm.
us. And then other people believed that there was no COVID at all, that it was all a lie and somebody just made it up. Usually, truth is somewhere in between. But what did make it dangerous was lack of immunity, for one, um, that people had in general, and the ease with which it could jump from person to person, and that's really what it was. And of course,
Mm.
the heightened risk that it had to the elderly. So
Yeah.
I understand why there were masks. I understand why people wore them. Um, it was a danger to the elderly. I got a friend whose dad passed away because he chose to stay somewhere where he was as a doctor and take care of COVID patients. When it was new and when there was little medical knowledge about it, he still chose to stay and treat them, and he wound up catching it and passing away. Now, granted, you could be an obstetrician doing deliveries, and then you mess around and catch Lassa fever and you die. So there are a myriad of ways for that to happen. But I understand people trying to take the precautions in the beginning. But a lot of people, and I'm going somewhere with this. I'm
Yeah.
tying it together to the topic. One of the things about clowns, for real, and we could argue about whether it's goofy or not, but one of the things about clowns is that they do always go to an extreme. They come up with a conspiracy for no reason based on no evidence. And I believe in COINTELPRO because the FBI declassified it and admitted they had COINTELPRO. So I do believe in the existence of conspiracies, 9/11 being one of them. I don't have a problem believing that they exist, that people have them, plan them, execute them, carry them out. Um, but everything is not always a conspiracy, but clowns see everything as a conspiracy. And the funny thing is that clowns, while being very prone to believe that everything is a conspiracy, you can't tell them about Shaitan.
Mm.
A lot of conspiracies actually do have to do with the shaitan. I mean, if you look at the way that Western women treat the men, that's some satanic stuff. The shayateen are floating around and they whisper into people, and people listen because they don't know. One, they don't know that the shaitan whispering to them. So a lot of this, a lot of things that clowns do, well, it's really hard to know everything that they do, but that's one thing I could say that makes a lot of people, men or women, just clowns, just everything. everything is always a conspiracy with them. And so and it's always extreme in one direction or the other. And so they see something as either non-existent at all, or they think that it's everywhere. And you got people that and unfortunately, when it comes down to men and women getting together, they don't really see it that much. They don't see what is there. Instead, they still turn around and they see what's not there. And I'm probably not describing it very well, but one of the things that does show me if somebody's a clown or not is that is there when they're prone to see these really extreme conspiracies in either direction. There's no middle ground. When it comes to guys, I guess one of the ways we would know that a guy's a clown is that when he's doing some goofy stuff, but then you remind him, then he thinks that you're reminding him of some sort of conspiracy, and that he starts coming up with crazy facts and figures from 5,000 years ago, where husbands traditionally don't spend a whole lot of time with their wives. That's not traditionally done throughout the world. Is he saying that this is a statistical fact people don't know about, or is he saying that this is actually some sort of tradition,
Mm.
and that now there's a conspiracy to make guys spend more time with their wives? Which one is he saying? Well, if he's saying it's a historical, just a statistic that people don't know, that would be one thing. But that's not what they're saying. uh, if you were to, I guess, if you were to correct him about things like not wanting to work, and they might say something like, I mean, if he's goofy, he might say, well, um, you know what? I'm not gonna make. I mean, I work, but I'm not gonna make a whole lot of money. He might actually be right, but it's still somewhat of a goofy thing to say if he's trying to justify not taking care of the house. But if he's a clown, you correct him, and he's going to say things like, "Oh no, man, women usually work and take care of the men. They're just they're
Mm.
just now asking to be providers because they don't want to work anymore. But no, they've always been working and taking care of men." That would be a clown, as far as I can understand it, because they would see your correction as a conspiracy. Did I explain it well?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. Knitting says you forgot the high heels for men. Well, men been wearing platform shoes since back in the day. You know, but now they made it into high heels because just as I mentioned many times before, they the fashion designers are they're making clothes for men that attract men. They're not making clothes for men that attract women anymore. Women still like those suits and this and that. Uh, Women generally aren't attracted to skinny jeans except for the younger women who tend to lean toward bulldaggerism anyway. They tend to they want a man just as pretty as them. There is one instance where a woman was asked to describe her dream man, and she was a younger woman, of course, maybe early 20s. She said, "I want a man with long hair, soft skin, pretty eyes. I want him with a nice chest, a nice butt." She basically defined a woman. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm not saying
Yeah.
men don't naturally have that. I'm saying if you listen to the language, if you didn't know, let's say her voice was disguised, and you say describe your ideal woman, and she went on talking, and her voice was disguised with like a reverb to make her voice sound more masculine, you would think it was a man talking describing a woman that he wanted. And that's the thing about it. There's no they're trying to obscure the lines between men and women. So when they ask a woman, "What do you want?" especially a young woman, she starts to define another woman. So that's why the fashion designers are making clothes that fall into that mode. They want to make men look like women. They want to make women look like men, and this is part of their mindset. It's part of their mindset. Nevertheless, it says what knitting says. Let me see. It was some more long beards but no masculine behavior. Yeah, yeah. You ever see them LGHTV 4Ks who got nice beards and they look like men, but they got only the face looks like a man. They got a sundress on after that. The nails done, high heels, whatever. They do that, and I'm gonna throw up my computer thinking about it. So let me stop. Say all this restriction for COVID, but nothing for monkeypox. Yeah, because they know who monkeypox is literally touching.
Mm.
They walking out the club going ooh ooh ah ah ah. So they know who monkeypox is actually touching. Nevertheless, all
Right,
right,
right.
I think we touched that topic. Let's move on. If you, I know you have to go wake up right now, right?
Right now, yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna introduce this delusional dating profile. Inshallah, you can jump in when you get back.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see. Delusional dating profile. That's not it. Where is it at? Bam, there we go. Delusional dating profile of the week. DDP, baby. Read it and weep. Now, y'all told me, one sister came on, she said, are these Muslims or Kafirs? I said, well, the one in particular is a Kafir. I said, but the Muslims are on that site too. And she said, well, I ain't trying to hear about no Kafirs. Okay. Now, I took the woman's eyes out of the picture. Okay. I took the woman's eyes out of the picture because for reasons. I didn't want people that know her to say anything. You can see she's in my city, okay? Uh, and I'm not going to read verbatim what she's saying because some of the language, I can't touch it. She says, this is Malika. It could be Malika, but, Malika. Okay, I'm going to say Malika because that's the way it's phonetically spelled. She's 44. So she's beyond danger zone. She's hit the wall. And the wall doesn't mean, you can't get, rescued from the wall or you can't find anybody. The wall means that your attitude need to be on point because men are not finna, if you're 44, a man that you desire wants 22. That's real. You're 44. The man that you desire wants 22. If you're 52, the man you desire wants 26. That's the way we work, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. We take our halal and haram from Quran and Sunnah and not from people's emotions. So, Malika 44 says, if you are going to attempt to get into my pants, see, already we can't do this. I told you there are Muslims on this site. Y'all say, I ain't trying to hear about no Kafirs. Okay, here's your sister. Here's your sister. Oh, yes. She has about 4 pictures on her profile. 3 are covered and one is not. She letting y'all know I'm still good. You want to get into my pants? You already got under my khimar. You possibly can get into my pants. But she says, if you're going to attempt to get into my pants and then, see, so getting into her pants is not far-fetched. I'm not slandering her. Getting into her pants is an option. She only has one caveat. And then tell me you don't want a relationship. She's not even saying marriage. She's not even saying marriage.
Mm.
She's saying, then tell me you don't want a relationship. Where did you meet this guy? Did you meet him at the Mediterranean grocery store? You met this guy, and she's not, typical. She's not an ex-slave like we are. She's not white American like the ones that enslaved. She's not from here. Okay, we can say she's immigrant or what have you. And the immigrants, the muhajirun are the most beloved to us. So we're not saying anything about immigrants. I'm not on that ship, literally. So she says, and you don't want a relationship. Didn't even say marriage, but you can't use the vagina dawa, the dawagina. I don't know how you say dawa and vagina together. You can't make the wussy, a power, a pasawa, to a man. Your body parts are for the man that marries you. That's your dignity. You can't dangle that in front of a man's face like you do in front of all your cats. for your cats to play with. You can't dangle that in front of a man's face and then expect him to take you seriously for a relationship. Because I'm gonna tell you, the men have post post orgasmic clarity. You know, they have post orgasmic clarity. Men have it. Okay, uh, Muslim men are really keen upon that because we have something that's, even if our iman goes low, our taqwa is low, it rises, then we're not gonna want to associate with you. We're not gonna want to, even if we feel weak, you know, we're not gonna want to associate with you after that. So now we become one of these guys. Stop opening up your legs. Now the lady I told you that was talking really, really strict and really, it's intelligent. She was dumb. She was stupid. She was ignorant. But her in conversation, she tried to sound intelligent, but she didn't enter the realm of masculinity in her talk. She didn't enter that realm. She never said, "I'll fight a nigga," and that. She ain't saying none of that, all that stuff. She was like, "I don't agree," and this and that, and men do this and that, and blah, 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 and all this type of stuff. And when I told her, I said, "Look, yeah, men, the problem is men, ejaculate into women." I said, "Do you understand math?" She said, "Yeah." I say, "What's 1 plus 2?" She says 3. I say, "Okay, if you got 2, what do you need?" I said, "Let's start with 2. What do you need after that?" She said 1. I said, "If you got 1, what do you need after that?" She says 2. I said, "So 1 comes before the other one, even when you're adding, numbers, right?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "What came first before the pregnancy happened? Before the man, ejaculated? What came before that?" "What do you mean?" I say, "She opened her legs or she bent over.
Yep. Yep.
She presented herself."
Mm-hmm.
I say, "Was he driving by in his car and just shot it out the window like a drive-by?" No. She said, "No, no." I said, "Look," I said, "Do you know how to count?" I say, "Count to 10." She said, 1, 2, 3. I say, "What did you start with?" I say, 1. I say, "What's 1 when it comes to relationships? To having a baby? What's 1? She says, "The man ejaculating." I said, "Oh, okay, yeah, you're dumber than a box of smooth rocks." She just would not hear logic. If women
Mm-mm.
close their legs, the ulema, I posted it what the ulema said. The ulema say zina begins and ends with women. Everything else is a felony. Even in the Kafir country, it's a felony, right? It
Got a point.
begins and
Yep.
ends with women. If a woman says no, everything after that is a felony. That man will get locked up. But men are not getting locked up. They are getting knocked up. So they got to keep the knees together. Keep the knees together. And don't present. Do not present. So this woman said, "If you're going to attempt to get into my pants, and then after you got in her pants already, then tell me you don't want a relationship, not even marriage, go F yourself instead." With the hijab
Always
on.
have to have the attitude. Yeah, they always have to have, and she spelled it out. They always got to have that attitude. I noticed that too after being. I mean, maybe she was born stateside. I don't know, but there always has to be this neck rolling type of attitude. I don't, and I saw this when uh, yeah, I saw this when I was a new Muslim, and I was told by my former roommates that you're required to make yourself available for this. Um, when I was this is before I ever married. They said you're required to at least try make yourself available. So when I went on one of the sites, of course, what I saw, and matter of fact, I remember one profile from Houston. She said 5'5". What did she say? 5'5" and 180 pounds.
Yeah.
And she said, "I don't come to me with fluff because I don't offer fluff in return. I'm a go getter and I'm a filmmaker and this sort of thing." And I remember just there had to be, and this is back. That was about 20. That was 2003, I believe. And what I noticed that there has to be this attitude, but now it's getting worse because even back then they didn't write like this. They didn't say stuff like, "Well, you just trying to get in my pants." That's not something that they wrote, at least not on the Muslim sites. So this shows me that there's a hell of a deterioration. And she and I are almost the same age. She shouldn't be worried about something like that. That's not something that. It, I don't even know how many people are trying, how many guys are really trying that. I'm not sure. I suspect that she just has to say no. She gets a kick out of saying no, and if she's not getting approached to say no, then she's going to just make it up in her head because that happens. That's what we see in the West. They just they get a kick out of saying no. They get social approval for saying no, and if they don't get a chance to, then they'll just make it up.
Can you read what she didn't write?
Yeah, yeah. When you were saying, yeah, I can read what she didn't write. I mean, she didn't write what she should have written was. Um, Actually, she shouldn't have even touched upon this because we understand that the rules are against fornication. We
Mm,
get that. We know that by default, and that's what she didn't say anything about that. She didn't mention chastity. The other
mm.
thing too is, I mean, honestly, from what I can see on the screen, all I see is if you're going to attempt to get in my pants and then tell me you don't want a relationship, go f yourself instead. I don't see anything else except a little tag that says located in San Antonio and 5-5. That's all I can see
Yeah.
on my screen.
So yeah,
Um,
that's what I got. But the part that she didn't mention,
mhm.
she's a licensed. She's a LVN. She's a nurse. Went to Blue Mountain College. That's the rest of it. I think she needs to do psychiatric mental health upon herself. But one thing she didn't mention, she didn't write, but she mentioned it. She's open to a Kaffir. There's
I was
nothing
aware.
Islamic about this woman's page except that she has a scarf on her head. So either she makes the best pancakes or she's Muslim.
Well,
Four pictures, three in hijab, khimar, and one without. So either she makes the best pancakes or she's a Muslim. You know.
um, I didn't think that far. I did think that she pretty much subliminally admitted she was open to fornicating. She did this on a public profile. I thought about that, but I didn't go as far actually as to think about her being open to a disbeliever, and that's problematic. I mean, that's even worse than fornicating, really. From what I remember from some classes. So that's what's out there right now,
Well,
and
she's on the site.
unfortunately,
She's on Facebook dating. That's 99% kufar, or 99.9 even.
okay,
She's
yeah.
out there.
So this is Facebook dating.
Oh, you
Okay,
know what I told
now
her?
see,
I told
what's
her,
that?
I was gonna give her some correction, but you can't. If you reply, she has to reply back before you can dialogue. Okay, that's how it works.
Hmm.
So my statement was what? Assalamu alaikum, right? No
Yes,
reply.
sir.
And I found this one after the show last week. So it's been a week. She hadn't replied yet. I pray Allah she feels shame that I saw her profile. I pray Allah that's what her trepidation is. You know what I'm saying? I pray Allah that's what it is because if she feels some shame, that means there's some hope.
I would pray for the same thing. I would hope and pray for the same, for it to be for the same reason. But it could also be that, as you said, if she's open to a disbelieving man and she's on Facebook dating, then she's probably simply thinking that you were there to date, and she wasn't gonna. She just doesn't want a Muslim. I've come to realize that there are some Muslim women that don't want Muslim men.
Oh yeah,
That's not what they're looking for.
yeah.
I knew that this day was going to come, but I didn't know if it was going to come in my lifetime. Um, but yeah, I didn't expect it to come in my lifetime. I thought I'd probably be old, completely gray on a cane or in a wheelchair by that time. But unfortunately, it looks like no. It looks like it's going to be now. And this is what our sons have to look forward to. And some people want to say, well, they got a bunch of bums out there, and that's what your daughters have to look forward to, and nothing else. But in actuality, I already know that that's not the case. They're not limited to just that. They've been trained to only be attracted to that by the society. Uh, but that's not all that's out there. Whereas for our sons, this is what is out there. For our sons, it is a little bit worse. And this is part of why I've been saying that we've got to get these passports and bounce. Because for our sons, if they stay in these Western nations, this is going to be it. They would. There's going to come a day when feel like they're lucky they found her because she wears a hijab.
I think if I can't, because my son is 17, he already verbalized that the way things are going, like at his school and places like that, that he sees himself getting married early. You know,
Hmm.
not quite. He doesn't want to now. He's always ready. I mean, me and his mom will carry him. You know what I'm saying? Until he, because right now he's doing the sports thing. So we're going to stretch that out as far as it'll go if he makes it to the NFL. If he don't, we'll stretch it out as far as it goes. But nevertheless, when he's ready to get married, if he's not financially stable, we'll carry him. We're not gonna let our son fall to the wolves. And I would, like you say, passport wise, right? I would advise him to go overseas. I got brothers from, like I say, we both got brothers all around the world. I would tell him to go to places that are friendly to him, like Morocco for marriage. Uganda, places like places that are friendly. You know what I'm saying? Algeria even. But nevertheless, and the other places that you can name that people know better than I do. But I would get his passport in order. I would, fly with him and go meet a family. You know what I'm saying? Or meet a few families, and see how they living. You know, look around and see if there's any pictures of the daughter uncovered. You know what I'm saying? Being of age, things like that. That's one of the things I would look for. So with that being said, I'm not gonna let my son fall to these traps. So Facebook dating don't have a chance, with a father like me. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna fall through the cracks that I fell through. He's not. That's my duty to him. That's my child support. That's my duty to him.
Yeah. And it's the same with my own. I forbade my own son from even looking in first world nations because of this. It's not because everyone's like her. It's just because you see ladies like her, they're out in the open. That's the dating profile you find. Uh, they have the so-called pick-me's in hiding. So what that means is that your son, my son, wouldn't find these pick-me's.
Yeah.
They're going to find the malaikas. They're going to find the ones that are coming in with body counts and with disbelieving ex-boyfriends and all these experiences that have left them damaged some way. And then they're going to look at our sons coming in with no body count and no experience, and they're going to look down on them and lose respect for them for the reasons for which they should respect them.
I think you're
And
being too harsh, Ark. They were young. It was a phase. You know. So I think you're being too harsh. They were young and it's a phase.
I'm probably being too harsh, but the thing is that when they're young and it's a phase, if you look at with whom they indulge this phase, as you said, they're the ones that have the choice. They get the choices, and you look at with whom they indulge in these phases, and it's not the uh, it's not the good guy that was walking the straight path and then he slips up. It
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. I mean, you take these guys that are walking these straight paths. It doesn't matter if they have a moment of weakness. They're by themselves,
Mm.
and therefore, that means that when these ladies are having these moments of weakness and they indulge, who are they with? That means it's somebody else. And so, I'm sorry, but these are hyena type or baboon like mating preferences and mating selections that they're showing in the West in general. And unfortunately, what we're seeing is that a lot of the Muslims are not showing any different. They're not showing any better. So when they have these moments of weakness, who they're choosing to indulge them with, that's even worse.
Yeah.
It's already worse that they are sitting up and they're just handing it on the platter to a disbelieving man. Um, no, maybe I'm being too harsh,
Now I was
but
being
I'd rather be
facetious,
too
Ark.
harsh.
I was being facetious when I said that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
cause,
goodness, because
yeah, I was
unfortunately I
being
have to
facetious.
be that harsh.
But
Unfortunately, we all do.
the facts are that a lot of men have given up on women, but a lot of men have not. They have not, and that closing of the gap, that bringing together uh, of the two sides, in cooperation, is not going to happen if you expect a man to lean over to the delusion. It's not in his nature. If a man leans over to your delusion, run. Run. Just like you run from the good traditional man, run from the man that leans over to your delusion. He has no good in mind for you. He has zero good in mind for you. You better run. Run for the hills. And if you don't run for the hills, you know, it's gonna be you're gonna be on going live with a sad story about how men did you wrong, but you left yourself open to it because you literally opened yourself up to it, just like Malika here. But nevertheless, alhamdulillah, we beat this dead horse. I was gonna say something about her nose, and I decided not to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no,
I can't see the
I'm
eyes
gonna
anyway.
leave. I was gonna say Pinocchio, but
Oh,
I'm not. I would never say anything like that. You got me twisted. I wouldn't say that.
that was hilarious.
Yeah,
That was
I wouldn't
terrible.
say that. Yeah, I mean,
That,
she's a beautiful sister, man. Covered. She's a beautiful sister, covered. And that is not. It's not. It's really not a good look. Subhanallah. I mean, she put that out there for the Kafirs to see. Why are you in hijab? If you're gonna put, look, four pictures, right? Three in khimar, one without. Why not all four without? Or why just put up the one without? Why do you have to make people look at Islam this way? This is what Muhammad SAW said. He said each one of you is like a guard guarding a certain post to Islam. He said, do not let Islam be penetrated through your side. We have to stand
mhm.
guard, meaning that, let's say if somebody catches us drinking. Muslims not supposed to drink. Yeah, you're right. We're not supposed to drink. Pour it out. We're not supposed to drink. I slept up. I mean, you gotta let Islam shine. I'm the bad guy. Yes, Muslims shouldn't drink. I'm the bad guy. She could have just put that picture without. I'm not advising her to do so. I think she should just take the whole thing down. But she put a picture up, uncovered. Why not make that your only picture? So people wouldn't associate you with a Muslim. The language, nothing else associates you with being Muslim. So why would
No,
you do this? They do more harm than
absolutely
good.
nothing.
It's not a good thing. SubhanAllah, it's not a good thing.
Absolutely nothing does. But I think I just saw part of the reason that we're seeing an uptick in these trends. Um, there is in Facebook, and I don't know if you're a member of this group or not, but its acronym is MLS. Have you heard of that group?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do then is right now I'm going to send you a message on Facebook, and I'm going to tell you what it stands for.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, Give me a moment.
SubhanAllah. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay.
all kind of madness
Now
on Facebook.
there is, and
Okay.
in this particular group, I just sent the name
I
to
got
it.
kicked out that
Now,
group.
okay. All right.
I
And
got kicked out that group because you know me. If I read a
mhm,
hadith, I'm gonna try to use it. And
yep.
I saw a munkar. I saw a wrong, and I try to correct it. They say, "Oh, you don't belong here."
Okay.
We are the Muslim version of uh what's that crap, man? Shade Room or something. We're a Muslim version. Come in with your
Oh,
your haram stories. Come in whatever you like. I didn't last. I wasn't even
mm,
there that group 3 days, bro. They got me out of there.
okay. All
Yeah.
right. Now, was the initials of the person that expelled you were his initials JJ?
I'm not sure. See,
Okay.
I don't know how many
Can't
admins are there.
see
It
it.
could be any one of them.
Hmm.
But they did
Okay.
not want my dialogue in this group. I'm like, what? Stuff for the law. Oh, brother, we don't use stuff for law in this group. I see. You know.
All right. Okay. Well, there is one guy that and I've gone in on him before, and you've also said you called him a clown, and I think he's called you one too.
Okay.
Um,
Probably so.
you may have an idea as to whom I'm referring. I've gotten on him about trying to hold men accountable. Just for that, that's it. That's enough for me. Because he sits up and he says, "Well, the Muslim men, they always trying to fornicate, and then they want the sisters to be chaste." And he talks like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, he just put up a Derek Jackson clip, And in this clip, Derek Jackson is saying, uh, what trips me out is like we say the ladies got these unrealistic expectations, and some of them do, but ain't nobody got more unicorn fairy tale door to explore expectations of the opposite gender than us men. Again, some women do expect a man to be, and he goes down the list of what some expect, but it's actually all of them, pretty much all that do expect it, because and I say all only because the ones who don't have been silenced into shutting up if they don't have these expectations. And he goes and he says, I actually know 10 guys that fit what these ladies say they're looking for. But then the men are looking for, and then he starts talking about certain things that men aren't even looking for. And he says, this is all of us. This is Derek
Yeah.
Jackson talking. A Muslim sat up here and used Derek Jackson,
Yep.
who we all know got caught cheating. He videotaped himself. Oh, no, no, I'm sorry. I think she held the phone to videotape him, and then she went ahead and leaked it. But one way or another, he did it with a phone camera aimed at him, so he didn't care.
Mm.
And then he had to sit up and make an apology, holding his wife's hand while she was wearing a bonnet,
Yeah.
um, because of what he had done. So he had to do. We all know what he did. It was open and obvious.
Yeah.
And then a Muslim uses him to make an invalid point. With that sort of thing going on, that's why Malika's putting these profiles up. She's putting up because she's getting the same message. She's not going to be. She's not accountable. She's not. She didn't do it. She's never done anything wrong. Doesn't matter. She's never going to be wrong. That's the message she's getting,
A
and because she's
sister
not the
just
only one.
posted a video of this guy named Ace something. I think he's the new Derek Jackson or one of the new ones. Um, his name is Ace something. She's posted. He's saying, men, y'all need to stop doing something. And what he was talking about, I say, is this guy advising Kafirs? If he is he advising Kufar? Cause like, what Muslim is doing that? And this Muslim sister putting all the sisters like, oh, sister, yeah, yeah. I'm like, what's y'all experience? What is uh? It could be his name. He has a gap tooth.
I don't remember.
Okay,
I don't remember his
it
face.
could
I've
it
heard his
could be,
voice.
cause he said, yeah, women wrote me saying, hey Ace, such, such, and I'm tripping cause I'm like, is this advice for Kufar? Cause I didn't find anything that a Muslim could use. I found nothing that a Muslim could actually use. So it just but like I said, they posted old boy. They posted him for some reason. I
He
found
does have
nothing
a
that a
bit of
Muslim
a
could
gap.
actually use.
He does have a bit of a gap between his two front teeth. I'm looking
Okay.
now. It's not much of one. It looks like he got it fixed in some photographs. Um, so he may have gotten it corrected over time. Um, I see a bit of it in some, and then I don't see it at all in others. So yeah, it looks like he's gotten work done on it.
Okay.
Um, but
They
I've heard
probably was
him.
roasting him in the comments or something.
They may have. He may
Yeah.
have just. Yeah, they may have. But he's been. I'm in a Telegram group, and I've heard these guys mention him before, and it was not favorable.
Okay.
Um, and so uh, with these guys talking like this, pretty much saying, okay, we're going to point the finger at men, and we're going to let the ladies off the hook no matter what. Um, what happens is that, of course, we see that the ones coming up in the West, like Malika, realize that they're not going to be held accountable. So why not just do whatever they want? And what they're doing is they're showing us why it is that our mothers didn't trust any of the young ones. It wasn't just back then. It wasn't just necessarily about age. I'm saying our mothers, though mothers of sons. We're seeing now why they were so distrustful of of the young ladies with whom we grew up. We're seeing now what that is, why that is, because they knew something. And I think one of the things they knew was that if both are not held accountable, one of them is never going to hold themselves accountable.
Yeah.
I believe that's what we're seeing, and I understand now why my mother was so distrustful of anyone. Really, I get it now, because when it came down to taking correction, my brother, my friends, we all had to take correction. We had to take correction when we weren't even wrong. We had to take hyper scrutiny and accept hyper scrutiny as though it was correct, as though the hyper scrutiny was right. We had to accept that. But when it came down to it, uh, if you take the lady that grew across my same age, she grew up across the street from me. Uh, no accountability. I mean, she could make dumb decisions. Nobody really. Her mom might tell her actually, but nobody else would tell her anything about the dumb decisions she made. She could talk in a baby voice a lot of times to get what she want. Nobody said, "Hey, look, you're 16. Talk with your normal voice." It just didn't happen. The one next door to her, across the street, diagonal from me, actually that was three sisters, um, and nobody really held them accountable. Um, and the oldest one now is talking about what kind of man she wants, but she's a grandma. She's talking about what kind of man she wants, and she's even said he's got to be a. She said something like he's got to be a CEO in the boardroom and a mandingo in the bed, and that's largely because when they were growing up, no one said anything to them about what you did need to do, what standards you need to meet, what behavioral standards you need to meet. And so they've just been pretty much allowed, uh, not only by parents who, yeah, not even so much by their parents, but they were just allowed by the society to be as immature as they wanted to be, and they did not become genetic dead ends for it. And that being said, all I'm really getting at is just that when they're not held to any standard, we see what happens, and this is
Okay.
what it is. So Malika is really part of a bigger program, and I'll shut up there because I preached enough, and like you said, I beat that dead horse.
Yeah, yeah. I said horse for a reason.
God have
let,
mercy.
let me stop, man. I'm gonna leave the lady alone, man. SubhanAllah. Yeah, I hope she greets me back so I could, you know, because if she is in my city, I can direct her to some, some resources, so she can learn a better language. But nevertheless, thank you for coming on, Akhi. As always, alhamdulillah. Your time and insight is invaluable to me, at least, and I hope hopefully to others. Jawad, if Jawad comes on, he sees me by myself. He said, "Where's Black Mind?"
Oh goodness.
He
Well,
said, "Man, nobody trying to
thank you
hear
for
you."
having me. No, they're trying to hear you definitely, but
Oh,
thank you for
subhanallah.
having me on, Ak, and thanks
Yeah.
for being patient. And inshallah, one day we'll have Jawad on here.
Inshallah, I would pray he comes on. I mean, the brother got the good comments,
Yep. And
the verbalize
we,
them
you know,
comments.
yeah, yeah. So we'd like to hear him say them, to say them on the screen. I mean, to say them on the mic.
And
And
brother Jalil also, brother Jalil, he sometimes I tag him with you in some posts. Uh, he said he don't come on. He said he gonna come on like 2 3 times. He never came on, bro. I think he shies away. Some people just don't like to speak publicly,
mm,
and I
well, the other
understand that.
option. One thing is that on Ecamm, I have to physically cover this camera because on Ecamm you don't have the option of the camera not you don't have
Yeah.
the option to turn it off like you do on StreamYard.
Well,
So that
even
way you
even voice, it's uh even voice wise, people don't they don't want to you know they don't want their voice to be heard, or they might be nervous, feel like they're gonna misspeak. You know, so can't
yeah,
misspeak
but
more than I do.
oh
But
goodness,
again,
well
thank you for coming on, Akhi. Alhamdulillah. Uh, I'm gonna shut it down, go make Isha and crash. Inshallah, I got a lot of stuff to do in the morning. Got to get the babies
inshallah.
to
Thanks for
daycare
having me
too.
on so late your time. Thanks for being patient.
All right. So thank you for coming on short notice. Alhamdulillah, bro.
Gladly,
But
sir. Gladly.
all right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay. Well, that's all that I have for today. See you all, inshallah ta'ala, next week. Same bat time, same bat channel for X Factly. This has been your brother, Saud Imam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.